You're very welcome to Bealtaine Cottage on this very special day. It is Imbolc. It is the first day of February, and it's the beginning of spring in the Celtic calendar. Now, Imbolc, which is also called St. Bridget's Day, and is now a public holiday in Ireland. The first Monday after Imbolc proper is a public holiday to celebrate a wonderful woman and a wonderful goddess. So it marks the beginning of spring, and for Christians, it's the feast day of St. Bridget, Ireland's patron saint. The traditional date is the 1st of February, and this is about halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And historically, its traditions were widely observed throughout Ireland and Scotland and the Isle of Man. And Imbolc is one of the four Gaelic, although it's traditionally celebrated mostly in Ireland, seasonal festivals. And it's one of the four. So you have the very beginning of the year is Samhain, and then we have Imbolc, the rising of spring, and then Bealtaine, the first day of summer, and Lunasa, harvest. Imbolc itself has been mentioned in early Irish literature and recorded on lots of various texts. And of course it was originally a pagan festival and associated very much with the lambing season and the goddess Bridget. The word Imbolc derives from the Old Irish, which is Imbolc, meaning in the belly, a time when the sheep began to lactate and their udders filled, and importantly the grass began to grow. So it was all very much a fusion of new life and new growth and the coming season. Now, there are connections as well between some of our ancient sites here in Ireland and Imbolc. So, for example, on the hill of Tara, there is a place called the Mound of the Hostages. And at the Mound of the Hostages on the hill of Tara, the rising sun at Imbolc illuminates the chamber. The sun also illuminates the chamber at Samhain, the cross-quarter day between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. The Mound of the Hostages on the hill of Tara is actually a Neolithic passage tomb, and about the same age, so it's fairly contemporary with Newgrange, which is over 5,000 years old. So the cross-quarter days were important to the Neolithic people. That's, of course, the New Stone Age, who aligned the chamber with the Imbolc and Samhain sunrise. So let us, just in our imaginations, leapfrog right back to about 2,000 years ago. Imbolc was the time to celebrate the Celtic goddess Bridget. Now, Bridget has many variations of her name, including bride and breed, but she was the Celtic goddess of inspiration and healing and smithcraft, with all those associations to fire and the hearth and poetry. So when Ireland was Christianised in the 5th century, the mantle of the goddess Bridget was passed on to Saint Bridget. So there you have this wonderful fusion of the ancient with the modern. And of course, Christianity is, in terms of the Irish history, quite contemporary, quite modern. Now, just as a little aside, all this video was filmed today on Imbolc in the morning. And you can see the work I'm doing down here by the gate. But I also want to let you know that I have completed my book all about Imbolc, and that is now at the printers. And although the date I gave for posting out was the 1st, which is today, it's actually going to be the 8th of February, which is next week. So, a little bit of the chronology, should we say, of the Celtic goddess Bridget, going from the Celtic goddess into the Christian Saint Bridget, is not always accepted as correct, because the first mention of the goddess Bridget in Irish literature is in Cormac's glossary from the 10th century. And there's no mention of the goddess Bridget, which of course actually doesn't surprise me, because it was a new religion, it was Christianity. They didn't want to promote the ancient beliefs, and so this fusion took place. If we go right back into, say for example, the Tuatha De Danann, Danna was the goddess of the Tuatha De Danann, and there are sort of tenuous links between the goddess Danu and Bridget. Danu's people, of course, were the tribal Celts, and Danu was their fertility goddess, and she revitalised the earth each year in spring. So there are links. We always must remember, of course, that the ancient peoples of Ireland did not write anything down. Writing anything down was sort of seen as dangerous. It's a bit like, you can invoke words, but if you write them down, they become almost dangerous in a way. It's a very interesting aspect of the ancient peoples. Everything had to be learned, everything had to be memorised and held in the head of the human. It was probably a more certain way to keep the truth, because we know, of course, now in this great time of deceit that even our history is being rewritten. Now, of course, it's also useful to remember that a lot of people get very tied up into what date is it that we should celebrate. I take a more pragmatic approach. For me, the ancient Celtic celebrations, from a very practical, pragmatic point of view, would be mostly celebrated on the full moon, when you have the ultimate illumination in which to celebrate. Because, of course, back in those days, there was no electric light, there was no form of light. It was very much the fire, the ritual fire outside. Now, I choose between the full moon, which has now passed, but it was the closest to Imbolc, and that was the wolf moon, as it's called, and the actual date, whichever date you want to pull from the calendar, whether it's the 1st or the 2nd, or any time between the 3rd and the 6th of February, it's up to you. You know that this fixation with rules and regulations and bureaucracy is not a Celtic trait. We were never people for rules and regulations and bureaucracy, and remain very much the same. So take it easy on that aspect. You can see flowers opening, and that's to welcome the arrival of the bees, the wild bees, as they begin to emerge from hibernation, which at many points in time during Imbolc they are likely to do, because we get very mild days. So I want to leave you now with the richness of the day that's in it, the beauty of the earth's response to what is an ancient festival. Look, the narcissi and daffodils are opening on this beautiful day. And a little picture of the cover of my book that is now at the printers. If you would like to order, which is a pre-order at this point because the books will be posted out from the 8th of February, then you can go to my website and all the links are below, but it's just simply lowercase bealtainecottage.com. That's the website. But if you look underneath each video, you'll find all the links that you need for Bealtaine Cottage. So here's the book cover, and as with all my books on the website, postage is included in the price, and that's for posting worldwide. It's the same price regardless of where you live on this beautiful earth. So that's the conclusion to this beautiful day. I'm going to get on with my work. I'm working down by the entrance, creating a new bed there. It's a beautiful soft day, as they say here in Ireland. There's no wind, there's not a stirring outside except for the plants and the flowers and the green that's breaking through. So blessings to you all on this wonderful day, the beginning of spring in the Celtic calendar, and certainly very visible here in the west of Ireland. And remember, in these troubled times, for indeed they are times of deceit, stay close to Mother Earth, stay close to her. There you will find your sanctuary. Blessings to you all.